There are three Indigenous groups of Canada. You have the Métis, First Nation, and Inuit. All three have their own unique and distinct language, history, and culture. Now, this language, history, and culture may overlap. However, each of these nations are distinct. They are distinct and unique from one another. I am Métis. To be Métis, you have to follow the Paoli case and the Paoli test. And there are three criteria for the Paoli test. For one, you had to self-identify as Métis. Second, and one of the most important ones, is you have to go through your documentation and connect back to your historic Métis ancestor in your historic Métis community. Now, for me, it's a few different communities. However, you have to go back to that historic Métis community before control was established by settlers. Now, this control can just be government control or even an overwhelming population. However, there are many different things to consider, but the third criteria is that you must be accepted by the community. I am a rights-bearing Métis, and for that, I am very proud of my heritage. What I'm wearing today is called an Ojibwe strap dress. Métis people, we were everywhere in society. We weren't just in one location. We were everywhere in the fur trade. We weren't just voyageurs, we were traders, we were even in positions of power. Now, women were one of the most important figures of the fur trade because you have not necessarily traditional roles, but we did it all. It didn't matter. Gender roles did not matter when it came to Métis during the fur trade. Now, the Ojibwe strap dress, which I am wearing, has three components. Well, four if you count my moccasins. So, I have my lovely moccasins right here. And of course, I have a little bit of beadwork on the moccasins. Beadwork came later on, as they came in after quill work and embroidery was already firmly established. And quill work was established already way before, but embroidery came in with the nuns. However, moving up from my moccasins, I have my leggings and my garters. Leggings weren't just to keep you warm, but when you're walking through the bush, you don't have to worry about having a whole bunch of leaves, rocks, all the different sticks scratching your legs. They also help if you're going to pick raspberries. Very useful. Next, we have the dress. Now, Ojibwe strap dress. It's a dress and it has straps. It's really cool in summertime. I don't have to wear my cape. I call it a cape or a shawl, which is really just two sleeves sewn together. Of course, all I have to do really is wear the dress. I don't have to wear the leggings. I don't have to wear the shawl. Just the dress and moccasins, I'm good to go. However, because Métis were everywhere in society, women would wear, and men, but would wear a variety of different items. So we could wear a combination of items. Say you have a chemise, a riding skirt, but we could wear a Ojibwe strap dress. You have examples, long short gown, regency, quite a variety. And we pulled inspiration from wherever we felt comfortable. The comfort depended on if you fall more of a First Nation path with Native spiritualism or a European path with Christianity. It depended on what jobs we were doing. It depended on family heritage per se. And all of that was reflected in our clothing, which of course was our own way of showing our personality. So today we have Jean-Marie and Christine. Jean-Marie is wearing, his attire is closer to a voyageur attire, as you have the chemise, you have the garters over his pants, and let's not forget about the moccasins. However, a very important little tidbit and personal flair that he's wearing is his top hat. This style of top hat was more common and prominent during 1812. Beside him, his lovely wife Christine is wearing a short gown, skirt, bonnet, and of course, moccasins. Now, with voyageurs, with Métis, the most common and well-known Métis symbol is the sash. Christine is going to put the ceinture fléchée, which is another word for sash, around her husband. The sash, of course, is first and foremost a belt. It is also a weightlifting belt. As you can see, it is going around very tightly to give back support. Voyageurs, they would carry very heavy fur packs. These fur packs, they would carry approximately 2 to 3 each. Of course, no one would dare carry one, for then they'd be considered more of a wimp, hence why they would carry multiple fur packs. These fur packs were approximately 90 pounds or 40.9 kilograms each. However, sashes can also be used for games, dances, and as the multi-purpose tool that it is, the sky's the limit. There are a wide variety of sashes. You have 2 main types of sashes, which is the way it was formed. So you have finger weaving or loom weaving. Here in front is a variety of different sashes. These pieces are finger woven, while those are all loom woven. The colors on the sashes don't necessarily pertain to any symbolism per se. That is all contemporary. Historically, it was whatever was available at the time. Now that could be the dyes in the area or the trade good items that was available to them. However, different sashes had different origins. The colors were very central upon geographic location, unless you're looking at the fur trade. And then looking at the fur trade, you also have 2 important styles of sashes. Now, a sash in French is called une ceinture fléchée for the arrowhead design in the middle, but the arrowhead pattern is not the same as you're seeing an arrow in the center. A distinct arrow in the center, like this one here with lightning bolts on either side. Now these stripes are my own design, but the center portion here, that is the Assumption sash, l'Assomption from l'Assomption, Quebec. However, it also had a sister sash, the Coventry sash from Coventry, England. And of course, in Europe, they had way bigger looms, big, massive industrial looms. But they also had the Inca loom. Now, the Inca loom was more popular in North America because it was small and easily transportable, fit in the canoe, nice and easy. Another option, of course, you didn't have to work on a loom. You could finger weave, which I have my ginormous project on the far side here. And different patterns in contemporary mean different things. In contemporary, different colors have different symbols. For example, a lot of people associate red with the blood that was spilled, the blood of our nation, and different resistances and battles throughout history. The black, people see it as a dark period. Some people who finger weave or even weave via a loom might put a strip of black in there to either represent a dark period in their own life or a dark period in history. And different colors, once again, in contemporary, they have different meanings as well. Some people, it's regional differences, as a region decides that they would like to make a sash that pertains to their region, having these colors. But to have these colors for that region, right now, it is personal choice. Historically, it wasn't the case. But as of right now, as an artist, you can pick whatever colors of sash that you want. It doesn't matter. And whatever style and pattern. Now, what is a nation without a beautiful flag so everyone can tell them apart? Being Métis, I have 2 flags. There are a whole bunch of different stories of why there are 2 flags, why there are 2 completely different colors. So the basis of the Métis flag, we have the infinity symbol. The infinity, of course, Métis people, we are our own nation and unique, distinct from the other nations, children of the fur trade. You have the Europeans and the First Nations. The infinity, of course, is a continuum, meaning that us Métis, we will always be here. It doesn't matter. For example, all of my future children will always be Métis, and their children and the children after that. It doesn't matter. Once there's one individual in the line who's Métis, everyone after that is Métis. Now, the infinity represents many different things. Of course, you have the continuum that will always be here, and the two halves. Some people say it's one side is First Nation while the other is European. And each individual Métis will practice either more to a Christian side or more to a native spiritual side. Some people walk the drum, others walk the fiddle. And though the fiddle is our instrument, as all of our music is fiddle music, there are individuals who sway more to a drum beat than to a fiddle beat. Now, two different colors in flags. Of course, we have, some people say, reds for the Hudson Bay Company and blues for the Northwest Company. Other people say that one's for our nation, one's for hunting, when really they are both for our nation, and you can use both for hunting and harvesting. It doesn't really matter, whatever your choice. Another person says that the individual who documented what color the flag was actually colorblind, so they wrote down the wrong color. But essentially, we have two colors for our flags, and you can see either of those flags flying at any point in time. Typically, though, we'll sway more to the blue than to the red. Now, me being Métis and practicing my culture, I practice it in a variety of different ways. Every day I practice my culture. My family history is quite difficult, as I was not born immersed knowing I was Métis. It happened a little later on. That was also because in my family, the knowledge keepers didn't always pass down the knowledge, and some of them couldn't because of my great-grandmother having approximately 13 children. So by the time my grandpa came along, and then my mom, my mother couldn't necessarily learn everything from her grandmother, and my grandpa didn't always have the opportunity to share with my mother. Also, it was a dark period. The dark period is essential when explaining the Métis culture because Métis people had to hide. It didn't matter. It was a matter of if you said you were Métis, you couldn't get a job, you were brutally harassed, sometimes you were killed. It was a hard time, and a lot of people hid. But today, I am proud to practice my culture. I finger weave. I do a whole bunch of different arts. I love to dance, love to jig. And even in our mannerisms, our values, nothing goes to waste. Believe me, in my household, nothing goes to waste. If you can still use it, we'll be using it. Being Métis is more than saying you're Métis and raising a flag. Being Métis is more than just going out in the bush. It's more than just performing an art form. People, when they come out saying that they're Métis, odds are they've already been practicing their culture for a very long time. And they merely don't realize it because either their family has been in hiding, or they just never call themselves the word Métis. Métis in French means mixed, Métis. We've owned that word and made it our own. As a unique, distinct nation, we have our own language, which is Michif, a combination between French, Ojibwe, and Cree. The further you are to Quebec, closer you are to Quebec, the more French is used and the more Ojibwe is used. Then the closer you are to BC, the more Cree is used. Some people, because Michif is such regionally based, different dialects depending on the regions, the language differs, and due to these differences in the language, some regional dialects are more of one influence over the other. And it doesn't matter necessarily how close or far apart these regions are, there are still differences. For example, allo versus tanchi. Allo is the Ontario dialect, and Tangshi is the Prairie dialect. And each of those words also have deeper meanings. For me, I am bilingual. I speak both English and French. And even certain words that I use. For example, capot. Capot is michif, and it's a style of jacket, a style of coat. Different words have been worked into our language, and that is, different michif words have been used in the French language. So the term where in Ontario and Quebec, you say en tuque and capot. Depending on how it's spelled, you're either speaking michif or French. Now, there are different ceremonies. A ceremony to one person means one thing. A ceremony to another person means another. For me, a ceremony is not the same. I don't go to powwows. Some Métis participate, but that is not part of our culture necessarily. Although, for me, a ceremony would be, say, a wedding or a large gathering. And by large gatherings, I'm speaking in terms of, say, an AGA, an annual general assembly, or a kitchen party. Now, a kitchen party isn't a kitchen party without some dancing and some fiddle music. Our fiddle music is not like other violin music because the fiddle has an extra beat. If you think about it, being Métis, we walk slightly differently in the terms of our mannerisms, our values. Of course, we are very community-based. And us as a people, we are very resilient and very connected. Our kinship ties are strong, and even when we don't realize it, they're always there. I am Métis not because I simply say I am Métis. I am Métis because of my heritage and because it is a part of who I am.